downtown Philly for my ride this morning. Just beautiful. Sun's coming up. Enjoying the, you get here earlier, there's no traffic. And so, love it. Freshly paved roads. Beautiful morning that the Lord has made. Catching green lights, bonus. I need to pay attention here, so I'm gonna get off the bid. All right, here we go, sunrise, and we're about to do this. So the sun is rising in the city of Philadelphia, the city of brotherly love. And within our missional shift, I want to talk about margin. And we think of the iconic Rocky Balboa, and the odds are against him. But what gave him the upper edge was using every little bit of margin that he could. Thinking about marginal shift in our own lives. Thinking about Jesus, like he had to use the margin, right? So he got away. Things were busy, chaotic sometimes in his ministry, and yet he still needed margin. And think about it in your own life. When you miss the margin, it's like that margin of error is a matter of how productive we're going to be, how efficient we're going to be. So marginal shift within the missional shift. What does that look like in your own life? Be more effective with our margin, where we need to pull back and not just simply engage because we're running the race, because we're in the hamster wheel, right? No, we need margin, we need to pull out, and it's just as important as being on the productive end. It's the training, it's the peace, the pause, the practice of solitude and silence. And so how much of that do we need to ask ourselves that we had enough margin in our lives? Have a marginal shift. The city of Philadelphia is beautiful as the sunrise here on the steps of Rocky. Another iconic building here. This is Christ Church, downtown Philadelphia. This is where Ben Franklin is buried. Now, next to the Mayflower Compact, the Constitution, one of the best achievements of our country. And yet the question is it perfect? Well, within the Constitution, it left room for error and amendments were made. And I think about it in our own life, like as we constitute ourselves and try to stay within the margins, do we give ourselves a freedom to fail and mess up sometimes? That margin of error again. Okay, so I need to reset, I need to amend. What does that look like? What does the truths really look like when I hadn't wrestled with something before? In my community, in my tribe, in my family, and personally, like how do I reset and amend and do an amendment shift in my own life? Constitution, right here. iconic Independence Hall. Here we are. The Liberty Bell. The Liberty Bell. Iconic American emblem. Talking about liberty and freedom. It is like the treasured American icon, right? But there's something about our freedom and liberty if it shifts from center. If the mission is liberty, where the Spirit of the Lord is, there is liberty, there is freedom, that our freedoms are really purified by their limitations. In fact, that's one of the underlying mottos of our Q&R, question and response with students, is when doubt gives way to truth and our freedoms are polished by limitations. Those freedoms come by being purified by limitations. I think that freedom can enslave us sometimes if it turns into like anarchy. Like, no, it's my freedoms, it's what I want to do, right? Where have I shifted from an entitlement that I deserve? It's my freedom, it's my right. So that's not really freedoms, that's just doing whatever you want. Rather, the freedoms that our country was built on, that we tend to missionally shift from, is finding that sweet spot where freedoms are polished by limitations. The ethic of Jesus and the Judeo-Christian ethic is to lay down my freedoms, to lay down my rights for the sake of others. I think it's really a mantra of maybe even our military. It's like they're laying down their lives for the sake of others' freedom. Do you see that? There's a purification that takes place in the limitations of our freedom. And it's a beautiful thing. So the challenge, the missional shift is, in my community, in my tribe, in my family, and then personally, where do I find the middle ground? Find the higher ground, as some would say. And so the challenge is to make sure our freedoms don't enslave us.